Today's morning thought is, should you retire? And this isn't really a question of can you retire, which is a big question, or will you retire? Um, it's a question of should you retire? And I'm curious what your thoughts are. I kind of put this out there today, kind of with a meme that was a bit of a joke that you're not going to be able to retire. And it pushed a lot of buttons, got a lot of interest. And people have very strong opinions about retirement, early retirement. Should they retire? Should they not retire? What does retirement mean? It's interesting because there's been a lot of research on this. And I would say that some of the research has shown that taking retirement is fairly detrimental to some folks' health, that their health declines after retirement, that the study I think they looked at was it was looking at men who retired, I think this was around age 65, tended to not live as long as men who didn't retire at that age. But there's been all kinds of mixed results. There's been results that show that people's health improves after retirement. So there was a big meta-analysis about this, and I think the big takeaway is it depends. It's unfortunate. That's the truth with so many things is it depends. There is no single answer that applies to every single human being. But what it seemed to come down to was really there were five kind of key factors. One was purpose. Second was control, and we were talking about that today, some of us in this discussion. Your health, your social interaction, and your stress. So it seems like, and this is true, I think, for humans of almost all ages, is that a sense of purpose helps people be healthier emotionally and physically. So if you retire completely, a full retirement, and you don't engage in something else, like you don't engage in volunteer work or have something that keeps you really busy, and you don't have a sense of purpose or you feel like you have no meaning in your life, then your health declines. And that's pretty clear. Your health declines, your emotional well-being declines. A sense of control is important too. Having control over your life, control over how you spend your days, because that's been shown to increase stress, which was another one of the factors that when you have a lack of control, you feel like you have no control over anything, your stress levels are pretty high. And so with retirement and controlling how you go into retirement, that could have an impact on your well-being, your health. It was interesting because they showed that early retirement, like you choose to go into retirement, wasn't detrimental, but being forced into retirement at a certain age with a company, for example, was detrimental. So there was no sense of control. I mentioned stress. Stress is a big one. Stress is a killer. I talked about this yesterday, I think, the stress of a bad boss and a toxic workplace. And some people have jobs that are very stressful. Removing themselves from that job, retiring, removes a tremendous amount of stress and their health improves. Or if you go into retirement early or you're forced into retirement, you don't feel like you're financially ready. So now you've lost your income and you're struggling to get by. Now your stress increases. So retirement's bad for you. So stress and how you're managing it is an important thing. Um, the other thing was the social aspect. Some people, work is their social circle, their support. They enjoy work, they have friends at work, and again, this varies widely from job to job and company to company. For some people, it's like work isn't a positive stress or a positive social circle for them. And it's stressful. It's very political. Everybody's fighting. People are constantly vying for positions. There's a lot of fighting and arguing, and that happens in some workplaces. And I've worked in other jobs, and I see it where it's a 9 to 5 job and your friends are at work and you look forward to going to work and it's not a very stressful job. And so it's your social circle. People who retire and don't have a strong circle of family or friends, they suffer. Their health declines. And that's been a huge predictor. I think there was a longevity study I thought it was through Harvard, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. There was a longevity study that looked at people from, I think, their 20s all the way up through 80s and so forth. And it seemed like one of the biggest predictors of longevity and good health was a support circle, so a support network. And that's friends and that's family, very tight social circle, people that you see a lot. And unfortunately, what seems to happen when people go into retirement, and maybe this, again, this was men, is that they tend to withdraw from society. They stay at home more. They're not going out. They're not being active. They're not making new friends. They had all their friends at work. And so if you don't have that social support, then yeah, you're going to die earlier. I mean, that's been proven. And then health was a big one too, which was interesting because they mentioned that some people who have jobs with manual labor and they were physically active, continuing to work was good for them. They continued to have better physical health. Um, for people that retired and then were very sedentary and they picked up bad lifestyle choices, like maybe they were eating more and they were getting overweight and all the stuff that comes along with that, with a sedentary lifestyle, and they weren't exercising or doing anything, then yeah, it's not good to retire. Your health is going to decline. But if it's people who go from a desk job like I used to have, I would sit in chairs in meeting rooms and a lot of people sit at their desk and work all day long. And that can be 8, 10, 12 hours, 14 hours a day. You're sitting in a chair and you're not getting much physical activity. Retiring might be a great thing. It has been for me. I mean, I say retired. I'm not really retired. uh, that's something I should talk about, is that it is retiring from a traditional job where I'm employed by someone to running my own business and determining how I do my work and who I work with and having that control. So I have a sense of purpose, I have control. You could call it semi-retirement, although it seems like I'm working a lot of hours. But I don't mind because I'm working for myself and I'm working for my business and I'm working with my clients. I choose who I work with. So that sense of control, the social aspect, and having control over my schedule, which has been huge for my physical health. So when I left the corporate world in 2010, even in the year before that, I'd made a commitment to get healthy again because it was out of control. Corporate life was not good for me. Bad food, sedentary lifestyle, stress, long hours. I gained a lot of weight, hadn't been exercising. It was really bad for my health. So leaving that environment and having control over my schedule and what I do enabled me to commit to exercising every single day. And I've been exercising every day for the past 11 plus years now, and kept up with it. And working at home has allowed me to have my own food and not eat quick snacks and stuff that's not healthy. And I can more easily keep that stuff out of the house. There isn't a big jar of candy bars as I walk by, like there used to be in the office. So it has enabled me to reinvest in my health. That's what semi-retirement has done for me. And I know retirement does that for some people. I have some friends who, with retirement, started becoming active runners and competing in marathons and things like that and cycling all the time. So, yeah, it depends. Should you retire? Well, it depends. Are you going to be going into a healthier environment than the environment you're in with work? Are you going to be financially stable? Will you have a chance to take care of your physical health? Will you have a sense of purpose? Do you have something that you can do? And I highly recommend that people never fully retire. Um, will you have control of your schedule? Will you be able to reduce your stress? Will you have reduced financial stress? Will you have your support network? All that stuff, right? So you have to think about it. What am I going from and what will I be going to? And you can intentionally create that. This isn't like you're being thrust from one environment where you have no control and maybe less control than you like into an environment where you have no control and you're just going to be doing whatever happens in your environment, whatever the world throws at you. You can plan that. And I think you should plan it while you're gainfully employed. Long before you go into retirement or semi-retirement, you should be thinking about, well, what does that look like for me? What do I want to do 15, 20, 30 years from now? How do I want to spend my days? Who will I spend my time with? Where will I live? What will I do every day? Will I have chance to exercise and to visit friends and to do recreational kind of stuff like boating and skiing and running? You can plan that. You can control that. And I think having a sense of purpose is incredibly important. And that's why I do recommend that people think about easing from full employment into something where you're consulting or you're an advisor or you're running the business you always dreamed of. Is there something you always wished you could do, but you can't do it when you're fully employed 9 to 5? But in retirement, maybe you can. So that's my thought for today is, should you retire? Well, it depends. What does that look like for you? Will you keep busy? Will you have a sense of purpose? Can you take care of yourself so that retirement actually ends up being a fantastic experience for you? If you'd like to talk more about that, I talk about this stuff all the time in my newsletter and in my career community. We don't just talk about, hey, how do you get a job? How do you do a job interview? We're talking about these big issues of, what does your life look like? How can you be fulfilled? How can you transition to, the end of your life and love what you're going to be doing? So you can go to newsletter.invinciblecareer.com if you want to check out the newsletter. There's lots of links there where you can discover my community, where all of us sit and talk about this stuff every week. We support each other and we're at different phases in our life cycle. That's my thought for today.